This is a bit of an infuriating story, but Trump voters really just don't understand what they voted for, and they're about to find out. This is the F around and find out portion of the post-election moment we live in. And here is just one video that went viral, has 13 million views right after the election, where the Latino voters said that Trump's not going to deport family-oriented Latinos. And then I also have reports of voters who are begging Donald Trump to not do exactly what he said he was going to do. And I have some other reporting showing that Donald Trump and his minions want to cut Social Security and Medicaid, stuff that a lot of his voters rely on. So let's just get right into it.
If they let in hundreds or thousands of people who already have criminal records, if deporting them creates a mass deportation, I'm all for it.
But what if rounded up in all of that are people who work on a farm? They're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do. Does that worry you?
That wouldn't be fair. Of course, they need to make sure that they don't throw away, they don't kick out, they don't deport people that are family oriented.
So that's infuriating, but that's also just kind of how a lot of voters are talking about Trump. They're saying that they voted for someone who doesn't exist. Here is Masura, who was interviewed by the Washington Post, and here's a little bit about her. A decade ago, she was a fervent supporter of the Clintons. She recalls meeting former President Bill Clinton in Newcastle at a rally during Hillary Clinton's 2008 White House campaign. But the single mother said she began to drift away from Democrats as the party's promises to help people like herself began to ring hollow. She said she's been suffering a lot because of rising prices. Groceries she once thought of as staples like soda are now luxuries. That's very sad. It's very sad that that is the case. I actually don't know what Democrats could have done differently to explain to people that prices are up and it's no one's fault. This is just what happens in a post-inflation moment. Prices go up, ideally wages go up, but prices are never going to go back down. And Donald Trump has even said that grocery prices are hard to put down as soon as they go up.
Donald Trump just told Time magazine it's too hard to bring the prices of groceries down.
I thought it was his campaign promise he was going to bring the prices
down. Get over it!
He
did say that, but then he said in the interview recently that it's hard to bring the prices down once they're already
He then
up.
said
He can't make any promises, but he still thinks they'll come down.
But he made a promise saying...
Were you not listening? There's only so much he can do! Tariffs will ruin supply chains. However, he did say a better supply chain and energy prices should bring them down.
The energy prices are going to bring the groceries down.
Yes, that's what he said! You do not believe it!
Number one, that doesn't make any sense. And number two, what energy? The energy Canada is threatening to withdraw because of his tariffs?
All right, but here's what this woman thinks because she was misled by the news media and by Trump himself. He is more attuned to the needs of everyone instead of just the rich. Who did she think she was voting for? I think he knows it's the poor people that got him elected. So I think Trump is going to do more to help us. Need I remind you, Kamala Harris worked at McDonald's. Donald Trump did a photo op there. Kamala Harris actually worked there. She knows what it's like to be middle class because she's of the middle class. And it's infuriating that these voters don't understand who they voted for. Here's Lynn Ryan, chairwoman of the county Republicans, said Democrats lost support of Newcastle residents' handling of illegal immigration and foreign aid. She said Trump was a skilled politician who low-income voters found to be honest and relatable. Quote, Trump won't cut necessary programs, and nowhere has he said he is cutting any of that. Quote, he is cutting bloated government. He is not cutting programs that work for the American people. Well, I've got some news for her that is absolutely not the case. We know Doge, and if Doge survives, because who knows what's going on with Elon Musk internal war with MAGA, but if that were to survive, I have some thoughts about what they're going to cut, because they want to cut a lot, and they can't cut a lot without cutting into government programs. Another reaction from someone, I think it would be stupid to just take something away. We would have mass chaos, mass homelessness. So nationally, I don't think it is going to be a situation where they're taking stuff away from people. Steve Tilla said that he receives $1,600 a month in Social Security disability payments and $300 in food stamps to support himself and his son, who is unable to work after suffering from mini strokes. And he still drives around Newcastle with a Trump flag anchored on the bumper of his SUV. So these are people in dire need. And I on some level, because people that I grew up with, though weren't that needy, the people I grew up with definitely do not come from generational wealth. So I understand what it means to struggle. And I do feel like when people feel like they have no other options and they might not have the best sense of what's happening politically, but Donald Trump is not going to protect people like Steve, unfortunately. There are major changes coming to Social Security regardless of Trump's presence. And it's even being talked about that Elon Musk wants to pay for his tax cuts with your Social Security and Medicare. The point of Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy's Doge is to cut entitlement programs so Trump can give tax cuts to the ultra wealthy and corporations. Nothing laid out in Doge's scattershot plans shows any serious understanding of improving efficacy or efficiency. It goes on. Doge's empty promise to curb government inefficiencies by cutting $2 trillion for the federal budget is nearly impossible without going after Medicare and Social Security, giving the way our federal budget is actually allocated. And I will say that it is infuriating because if you just look at this polling of Pennsylvania voters, and I'm sure this is reflected across swing states and nationally, that when you look at everything from lowering costs for children, elders, and people with disabilities, expanding Medicare to include coverage of vision, dental, and hearing, to prevent big corporations from charging hidden junk fees, expanding Medicaid to include coverage for long-term in-home care services, strengthening enforcing anti-monopoly laws, and cracking down on corporations that stifle competition, cracking down on corporations that engage in price gouging. Increase taxes on billionaires so they pay their fair share. Increase taxes on big corporations so they pay their fair share. These are all super progressive, populist, economic policies that a vast majority of swing voters agree with. So voters are on the side of what Democrats stand for. The problem is that voters have been lied to through a vast weaponization of propaganda on the right, and the actual mainstream media, whatever that means nowadays, has subjugated itself to being fair and balanced when one side is lying and the other side is just trying to tell the truth through a storm of bullshit. And everyone's suffering except for the billionaires and the corporations. But meanwhile, voters actually want these things. And it is so infuriating to hear that voters are needing these programs, and it's billionaires like Vivek and Elon Musk who want to cut the small amount of support our government actually provides to people who need it. So that's all I got. That actually just made me really pissed off. I'm gonna go lift some weights and stop being mad. So if you could please like this video, that would be super helpful. It does get this into the algorithm. I'm gonna say it every time until we hit 500,000 subscribers. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because subscribing means that you give me legitimacy. And when I get legitimacy, I can get more people onto this program for interviews. I want to interview politicians. I want to interview change makers. I want to interview people who make a difference. But the only way I can do that is if you provide me legitimacy in a platform that they feel like they can speak to people and actually get a message across to an audience that's listening. So please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.